Welcome to Muscles and Malarkey, a podcast about all things strength, fitness, and fun. I'm your host, Mary. Today we are talking about something that should be common sense, but unfortunately is not. We're talking gym etiquette. How to behave in the gym. How to not be that person everyone side-eyes but never wants to confront. The gym is a shared space. We are all just trying to lift heavy things, mind our business, and go home. So, let's start with the basics. First things first, be nice to the gym staff. They are there to help you. They deal with a lot of people every single day, and I promise you, being kind goes a long way. If you don't know how to use a machine or you don't know what something is, ask them. That is literally their job. They want to make sure that you are safe and that you are not breaking any expensive equipment. They're also great people to ask for a spot if you need one. I have done that many a time. Shout out to you, Jeremy. Suffice to say, the gym staff are not your enemy. Treat them like humans. Next, do not hog equipment. Machines, barbells, squat racks, benches, dumbbells, boxes, all of it. Do not hog it. Do not take things and hoard them in a corner because you plan on using them in 30 minutes. If you are not actively using it, it does not belong to you. We've talked before about rest periods. Yes, rest is necessary. But unless you are a powerlifter working up to a heavy top set, I can guarantee that you do not need more than 2 minutes between sets. One of the most annoying things that I've run into is people sitting on their phones while they're taking up a machine and they're not actually doing their set, and it's been 15 minutes and they have yet to move on to their next set. It's not cool. Be considerate. Now, if someone is using a piece of equipment, you have 2 options. 1, move on to something else. I promise it is okay if your exercises aren't done perfectly in order, okay? You can vary it a little bit. If something is being used, move on to your next exercise and come back to that one. Your other option is to kindly, respectfully ask someone how many sets they have left. And here's the key part. Don't do it in the middle of their set. Do not talk to someone mid-set. Do not touch them mid-set. Do not interrupt them mid-set. It is incredibly unsafe. And speaking of safety, big thing here, do not get in the line of movement while someone is lifting. I once had a woman duck underneath my barbell as I was starting a squat set, and she did this so she could grab a plate off the rack. If I had actually started that rep and didn't see her out of the corner of my eye, I would have hit her, and that is a way that people can get hurt. Now, once someone finishes a set, then you can ask to work in. That's totally fine. And if someone says to you, oh, hey, I have 2 sets left, and maybe they don't want to have you work in with them, that is okay. Please refer back to point 1 where you can just move on to a different piece of equipment. You can also modify whatever exercise you're doing. Let's say you wanted to use the hamstring curl machine, but someone's on it and they say, oh, I have 4 sets left. I'm sorry. I'd really prefer it if you didn't work in right now. That's okay. Maybe you can't do the lying hamstring curl, but maybe the seated hamstring curl is open. Maybe you modify and do it with a yoga ball and you practice body weight hamstring curls. There are options. You can be flexible. Now, a big thing I want to talk about is using equipment correctly. Please, for the love of God, use equipment appropriately. Do not take up a squat rack to do barbell bicep curls. And do not use one of the only barbell benches to do dumbbell bench when there are plenty of free weight benches available. That happened to me once in my old gym. I look over, this guy's doing dumbbell bench press on the nice combo rack that we had, and I look over to the free weight area and there are 3 open benches. Guess what he can do? The dumbbell bench press on one of those. Guess what I can't do? Barbell bench press on one of those. Please, just use the equipment appropriately. Be considerate. And also, speaking of being considerate, stop doing rows while holding onto the dumbbell rack. Okay? It's dumb. If you can do the row, you can move the dumbbells out of the way of the dumbbell rack. I had an instance with 2 young boys, and I was doing RDLs, dumbbell RDLs, and I needed to put my weight back because I was done with my set, and Plucky Bob over there is rowing his dumbbell, holding onto the dumbbell rack right where I needed to put my weights. And so I said to him and his friend, hey, nicely, don't do that. You are in the way of other people and you could get hurt. And they didn't listen to me and went upstairs. And when I was done with my stuff downstairs, I came upstairs and I saw them doing the same exact thing on the upstairs dumbbell rack. So I did approach them again and I said, hey, I'm not trying to be a bitch. Here's the thing. I'm going to say this a lot nicer to you than some of the other people here. Okay? Don't piss off the big burly guys. Please respect the purpose of the equipment. Rant done. Let's talk about noise, phones, and general chaos. Please do not listen to music or videos without your headphones in. I don't care what YouTube video you're watching. I don't want to listen to it. Do not take personal phone calls. Unless you're in a space that is separated out from other people, no one wants to hear a one-sided phone conversation. It can be really rude. It can be really distracting. Which leads me to my last point. Do not be loud as hell for no reason, okay? There are some times where I have been loud as hell, okay? Usually when I'm hitting a top squat or deadlift and I'm like trying to get myself amped up, it's warranted. If you are doing knee extensions on the knee extension machine and you're grunting like bah, 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 every time you do a rep, it's unnecessary. You're going to give yourself a hernia. Chill the fuck out, okay? Moving on. A common way to indicate that you're using a piece of equipment is placing your stuff on it, like your phone, a water bottle, a towel, whatever. What you don't do is put your stuff on one machine and then go use an entirely different machine. That doesn't count. That's just you being annoying. And if you bring a gym bag, make sure it's out of the walkways and high traffic areas. I'm a power lifter, okay? I carry a bunch of stuff with me. I have a huge backpack, I have my water bottle, I have my energy drink, and I still manage to keep that stuff out of the way so I'm not impeding anybody else. I don't want someone to trip over my bag when I can easily just tuck it in the corner. In conjunction with keeping track of your own stuff and keeping it on the piece of equipment that you're actually using, I want to stress, clean up after yourself. Wipe down your machine, especially if you're a sweaty hot mess like I am. Put your weights back. Put them back where they go. If you are strong enough to take that dumbbell out of the rack, you're strong enough to put it back where you found it. If you're strong enough to put 2 plates on a pressing machine, guess what? You're strong enough to take those plates off. And stripping the weight off a machine tells the next person that you're done. Don't walk away from a fully loaded machine and expect someone else to clean up after you. Your mama doesn't go to the gym with you. She ain't following you around cleaning up after you. You are an autonomous person. Clean up after yourself. And keep your space organized. Gym owners notice this. Trust me. during this last prep, something I realized was that my thighs, these meaty ham hocks, were really getting in the way of my bar path for deadlifts. So I needed to put more baby powder on my legs. The thing about baby powder is it can get everywhere, right? It's a bit messy. So what I did was go off into a corner. I put a towel down. I'd put the baby powder on my legs. And when I was done with my sets for deadlift, I would wipe down the area, wiped down the deadlift platform, and I talked with the front desk staff and I said, hey, I'm done with my deadlifts. It's a bit messy down there. And I've had both instances where the worker was like, oh, okay, I'll take the vacuum. I'll go down. I'll take care of it. Or I've also had a staff member be like, oh, hey, here's the vacuum. Can you take care of that? Okay, no problem. I have no issue with cleaning up after myself. And speaking of that, treat bars with respect. They are expensive. If you use chalk, make sure to clean that off of the bar, which also means don't throw them around. Do not do heavy-ass rack pulls and slam the weight down with 5 plates on each side and bend the bar. Because it happens. It can happen. It has happened. And it's not fair because the person that owns the gym spent a lot of money on that barbell. And depending on where you're at, that might be the only good barbell. At one of my old gyms, they had Ohio power bars, and they labeled them because people would go and do rack pulls with them and fuck them up, and those bars are expensive. But the generic off-the-shelf 45-pound barbell, if you're going to do heavy rack pulls, that's the kind of bar you want to use. A bar that's okay to kind of ding up and use roughly because that's what it's there for. Now let's talk about filming in the gym. If you are recording yourself or using a tripod, please be mindful of the other people in the shot. If someone walks in front of your camera, don't throw a hissy fit. You are in a public space. It is not other people's job to keep track of where your tripod is. Which, on that note, you got to be aware of what your gym's rules are, because some gyms do not allow filming. Some don't allow chalk or baby powder. Know the rules. Follow the rules. Be considerate. Are you noticing a theme? I want to talk about what you should wear at the gym. Oh God, okay. Please wear appropriate clothing. You are in a gym. Wear athletic clothes and sneakers. Don't wear jeans and boots. Don't wear flip-flops. Don't wear Crocs. And honestly, hot take, stop wearing pajama pants to the gym. You look like a D-gen from upcountry, okay? I don't understand the youngins' obsession with wearing their pajama pants because in my mind, I'm looking over like, yo, did you just roll out of bed? It's 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Why are you wearing pajamas at the gym? I mean, obviously, do what you want, but also, why? I think a very important part of gym etiquette is not giving unsolicited advice. Unless there's a safety issue going on, like a plate sliding off the end of a barbell, or the bar is set up crooked, or a person is doing something genuinely dangerous, if it's not one of those examples, otherwise, mind your business. You wouldn't want somebody to come up to you and be like, hey, you're actually doing that wrong. People do things in different ways. Sometimes people are doing an exercise and it looks crazy as hell, but that's the exercise that they want to do because it's specific to their goal. You don't know what people are working towards. You don't know what their background is. Unless someone is asking you for advice, do not give it. And listen, no one's looking at you thinking, wow, that weight is pathetic. No one cares. No one cares what you are lifting, all right? And in the kind way I want to say this, no one cares. If you're new to the gym, we know that you're not going to be as strong as Sally, who's an IFBB pro and has been lifting for a decade. That would be completely unrealistic. Focus on yourself. Focus on what you're doing. Now, speaking of focusing on yourself, let's talk about locker room etiquette. Because locker rooms deserve their own category, okay? Oh, God. Oh, boy. First and foremost, do not talk to people you don't know while they're changing. And also, don't stand in the middle of an aisle fully naked like it's a runway show. I'm an OT. I see enough naked people on a daily basis. I am not here to help you put on your underwear, Susan. Get it together and cover your ass. Now, I know some people are not comfortable with taking photos or progress pictures out in the gym space, but please be incredibly mindful about taking selfies in the locker room. Because unless you are completely away from any possibility of someone being undressed, I just wouldn't do it. Moving on, a topic I really wanted to touch on was hitting on people at the gym. Okay? It happens. You're in a public space. If you're going to the gym, you're probably a pretty attractive person, all right? And gym people, like other gym people, it's going to happen. From my perspective, if you think a guy is cute, be respectful, but, you can flirt a little bit. I think the gym can actually be a good place to meet people, right? But be mindful. If this is your gym that you go to multiple times a week, think about the possible repercussions. If it doesn't work out with that person, can you handle seeing them at the gym every week? All the way back in 2016, when I lived in Erie, there was a guy who went to my gym, and I was like, oh, he's kind of cute, right? Right. And we went on a couple dates. Nothing really came of it. And thankfully, I was only in Erie for about 3-4 months. So it didn't get too awkward because I was able to remove myself from the situation. But long term, that might have been a little bit uncomfortable for me to continue to run into that guy. We didn't end on bad terms, but when someone's like, no, I'm not really interested, it's a little embarrassing, right? You're like, ooh, I don't want to run into Joe Schmo again. Men are not my main audience of this podcast, but if you're a guy and you're listening to this, I want to give you some really solid advice about approaching a woman at the gym. Unless you're getting 100% green flags, don't ask them out. Don't ask them for their number. Don't be a creep, really. I don't think there's anything wrong with having a conversation and talking to somebody, but don't approach a woman mid-set. Don't pressure them for their number or their social media. If you ask them out on a date and they say no, respect it. And if you're a guy listening to this and you're like, oh, well, that's the hard part, is how are you not a creep? Babe, trust and believe. You will know if you're being creepy or not. Okay? You will know. Unless a woman is giving you all signs go, please collect $200, don't be asking them for their number. Don't be pressuring them, okay? Leave them alone. Now, in that vein, I want to touch on something, which is standing up for yourself. If someone makes you uncomfortable, stand up for yourself. At a different gym, more recently, this actually happened last year, I had an incident where a member was extremely aggressive towards me. He told me he wanted to punch me in the face because I had my septum pierced. He called me a bitch and a see you next Tuesday. And when he did that, I confronted him. I said, why are you threatening violence against me? Why are you calling me a bitch? Why are you calling me a C word? Why? And he was like, oh, it was just a joke. It was just a joke. It was not a joke. That man had threatened violence against me on more than one occasion, and I let it slide. I was like, okay, whatever, moving forward. When he told me he wanted to punch me in the face, and then later on in that workout called me a cunt, I was like, no. And I told the owner, and his first response was, well, what did you do to provoke him saying that? You bet your ass I went to the co-owner, which is the owner's wife, and explained the entire situation, including her husband's response. And I told her that if that man threatened me again, I would contact the police. And thankfully, she was extremely supportive. She heard me, she validated me, she made arrangements so that I wouldn't be alone with that individual because unfortunately, we went to the gym at the same time. But the damage was done. I didn't feel safe in that gym anymore. So I left and I went somewhere else. And I have zero regrets. If you are in a similar situation, hopefully not nearly as aggressive as the one that I just presented, don't hesitate to stand up for yourself. Make sure you tell somebody. You want there to be documentation of complaints, of actions, so that if something more happens, you can say, hey, I made you aware of this 3 months ago and nothing changed. Your peace of mind is worth it. Your safety is worth it. Do not ever minimize that, and do not let anyone intimidate you in that space. Because if a man is intimidating you and calling you a bitch and calling you a cunt, they're a pretty small man. Boy, really, when you think about it. As that being our final note, I just want to say that I hope this episode is helpful. I hope that it can save even one person from being in a tough spot. I think bottom line across the board is to be considerate of other people. Communicate appropriately. Be kind to your other gym goers. You don't know what's going on in other people's lives. Lift heavy. Be respectful and mind your business. And I'll talk to you next time. If you enjoyed this episode, please follow, share, rate, and review. It helps the podcast grow and reach more people. Do you have any questions or suggestions? Email me at musclesandmalarkey@gmail.com or find me on Instagram at musclesandmalarkey. Yeehaw and yee-claw, everybody.